fact that we've played so much music together for so long is a big part, or one of my sort of main research interests, just because so much language is sort of evolves, just like with spoken language, musical language is exactly the same. So as jazz musicians, we still have, there's a certain sort of way of playing, if you like, and there's a certain repertoire that jazz musicians learn, and like playing sort of standards from the American songbook, and we all learn that. So if we meet somebody for the first time, if we have that in common, we can play music together. But I think once you start playing with the same people for a long time, you start to develop those little turns of phrase or jokes that you both know, or experiences that we've had together, or tours that we've been on, and all of that starts to inform the music. And I don't think that's, you know, unique to the two of us, but it's just something that whenever we play together, we play a certain way, which I really enjoy doing. A few years ago, we recorded an album of, we spent a day in the studio and we just improvised an album's worth of material, which was really amazing, because hearing it back now and having listened to it a lot, they're just compositions now, because we're familiar with them, we know how they go. But it really just evolved of us going, oh, well, let's play some of that, or we'll play that sound, or start here and see where it goes. And that's what we're going to do today. Well, at least to begin with that. So we thought we'd just improvise a little bit for you. Paul and I were the horn section in the Mara band for many years, and there's a really strong influence that comes out of that music, which is essentially, I guess, inspired by Eastern European folk music and dance music from Eastern Europe. So hopefully you might hear a little bit of that in what we play. And then when we finish that, I have written a couple of pieces for today, and we'll play those as well. So we'll make some sounds for you. Oh, and can I also thank Ben and Tegan. Amazing, above and beyond. It's just such a pleasure to work with you. So, because with about 4 minutes to go, those of you who have been sitting here have just seen this unfold, but I just said, we can't go on without Foldback. And Ben said, I can't do that in 7 minutes. I said, I think you find you've got 4 minutes, but we really need it. So anyway, there's the Foldback. So thank you. Thank you. Um, so I guess the joy for us really playing in that way is you just never know where it's going to go or what's going to happen. So hopefully you came with us, well, whether you liked it or not, you came with us for the ride. So we've got a couple more pieces that we'd like to play. As John mentioned, at the moment I'm working on a project that really is just sort of looking at the blues, and the 12-bar blues is an incredibly important form for jazz musicians and lots of musicians. And it's obviously a vehicle that we kind of cut our teeth on as improvisers, and lots of wonderful musicians have sort of interpreted the blues. It's incredibly versatile little 12-bar cycle that everyone has a go at sort of playing with. So I'm taking a sort of a blues from a lot of well-known Australian jazz musicians and New Zealand jazz musicians, and sort of arranging them for my own ensemble. But I thought I'm going to write something as well. So I've written a little piece that we'll play for you, world premiere, I'll have you know, and we'll play it. It's sort of untitled really at the moment, so if anyone's got any good ideas. But yeah, we'll play it for you.
I don't know, it says New Bird Blues here. I'd like that. New Bird. New Bird.
Thank you very much. Just like we didn't rehearse it. There we go. So we'll leave you after this next piece. And this is, well, this is probably something that really draws on the Mara influence, as I said. This is in, it's in 7/4 if anyone's particularly interested in that, except for a couple of bars that aren't. And yeah, it's probably all you really need to know. It's lots of fun to play, and thank you to Paul for indulging me and learning to play it. And yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you to John too for all that you've done for organising today, but organising the whole series, because it's a lot of work. So thank you very much. And we'll hand over to the Gamelan Ensemble. So this is it's not really a catchy title, but at the moment this is called A Sudden Multicolour Eclipse.
Okay, so Andrew's research interests cover three broad areas of investigation: South Asian music cultures, contemporary Australian transcultural musical expression, and Southeast Asian music cultures. I think we said that twice, anyway. He has over 23 years' experience teaching music at tertiary level and has contributed to a diverse range of subdisciplines, including popular music studies, ethnomusicology, composition, theory, harmony, conducting, and performance studies. His performance interests span an eclectic mix of world music and experimental genres, including diverse musical practice on piano and cello, as well as within vocal ensembles and Indonesian gamelan. Currently, he leads the Macquarie University Gamelan Ensemble and is working on recording projects with the group. As an ethnomusicologist, Andrew has published widely in the discipline's leading journals and reference tools. His recent book is Mountainous Sound Space, A Cultural Practice of Music in the Himalayas, with Cambridge University Press. He's a member of the International Association for the Study of Popular Music, the Australian Musicological Society, the South Asian Studies Association of Australia, the Society for Ethnomusicology, and the International Council for Traditional Music. So today, we're going to be hearing some of Andrew's recent creative work, recording specific instruments to create filtered and looped sounds in association with live performance. And I think Andrew Robson will be joining as part of this set as well. So I'm going to just hand over to Andrew, and he's going to explain a little bit about what you're about to hear. Thanks.
Thank you, John, and thank you for all coming. Also, thank you to the Gamelan members who have put up with some ideas that are very fresh and I won't say underdeveloped, but they're developing. And so in the same way that that Andrew and Paul are great improvisers, we've put Paul on the spot. He's played with our gamelan for about half an hour ago, and now he's going to actually perform with us in our first piece. That's the wonderful thing about improvising musicians. They're able to do that. But we're going to be playing pieces for gamelan. And I just wanted to explain a few things about what my original intentions were. If I can ask Alex to just play the big gong in the back. Have we got that mic'd up? Give us a gong. And the kimpul. So those are obviously the bass, the lower frequencies for our ensemble. I always like to play the gongs like that at the beginning of a class when I start to teach the gamelan, because the students then are quite inspired hearing those low pitches and that bass frequency. When I'd like to experiment with a number of more contemporary ideas, but then this particular ensemble, which is from the west of Java, it's Sundanese, musicians from Sunda tend to work with popular music styles and genres a bit more than some others, and it's quite frequent that you've got various competitions in which different singers compete against each other in a popular genre called Tembang Sunda, and taking some ideas of the textures used in that particular style to adopt them and adapt them into an environment where we've got different amplification things going on. This project hasn't reached its full ending yet. The idea was that I was going to look more closely at the bass and the way that the bass is used within a gamelan ensemble to try and experiment with some ideas. That hasn't come to pass, but at least we've come partway in that I also wanted to add the saxophone, and with Andrew and Paul's help, we're able to actually try and get through some of the technical difficulties of that. In essence, when you listen to gamelan in contemporary popular music traditions, you'll actually hear the gamelan as a very quiet background sound. It's put into the background, and the melody is foregrounded through the mix in a very impressive way, well above the volume of the gamelan. So the gamelan is not supposed to be that loud. It's just something ticking along in the background. But the things that get foregrounded are the melody and of course the big gongs in the back. My idea was to take those gongs, which in an Indonesian context are formal in design. So you have the gongs marking out specific cycles, and you don't have the gongs as a base frequency to inform the kinds of harmonies that you're doing, because you don't have harmony. But I wanted to take those base frequencies, mix them down, and then add them to some other rhythmic things to really create a rhythm section for the gamelan that might use bass in a way that could sort of refer back to other ideas of a standard popular music rhythm section, including perhaps even going further and getting to be like, say, some of the dubstep kind of things that you'd hear through contemporary musicians like Hermitude or Flume or some of those things. We haven't got there. You're not going to hear that. I would have loved to get there, but there's too many technical issues to get past before we reach that stage. One of those technical issues is, of course, tuning. And to try and tune this gamelan to a Western concert pitch is not what you do. So what we do is we ask our very skilled musicians, Andrew and Paul, to adjust to us. And they've had to pull things out and do that. Remember, though, that direct intonation accuracy is never something that's really sought after when you're doing something along with gamelan, because the gamelan is backgrounded and you put it in the back. It's more of a rhythmic thing over the top of which a different pitch series or a different scale type sails over the top, even though the two are related in some way. And so I've tuned a few of these just to make them a little better than they were before. But at the moment, then our saxophone and bass clarinet will go over the top. So enough of me talking. We're going to play two pieces. One is a piece that I wrote quite some time ago called Tari Sungai. Tari Sungai, just if you translate, means river dance. And so you'll hear some 6/8 and hemiolas and 4/4s and moving back and forth, with both Paul and Andrew playing some of the melodic part of that. And then after that, you'll hear a second piece that I'll tell you about when we get there. So for the first, Tari Sungai. So this next piece is called Gudril, and it was actually a piece of music composed by an Indonesian friend of ours from Bandung called Wahyu Rohewandi. And he actually composed it, I think, about 15 years ago, and it's been sitting in my files ever since. So I pulled it out and decided to use that as the basis for this fictitious, this mystical idea about mixing dubstep with gamelan. Well, I'm not sure that Wahyu, actually Wahyu was a great inspiration to us because he's composed quite a number of hits for Western Sundanese music. So he would have been right into this kind of mixing and matching. As I say, we haven't reached there yet, but at least we've put the saxophone back in, and with some extra reverb on the bass side, maybe you'll be able to sort of picture or hear the kinds of things I'm thinking of. Probably not. Maybe by next year, I'll actually have put it all together and you'll see what I'm trying to get at. In the meantime, do enjoy Gudril. thank you so much. I didn't get to introduce our members before they run away. I'm sorry. Jeff Limbert, Zoe Wild, Liam Matthews Peat, Alex Mesker, Sarah Keith, and Dick Lopez. Thank you to my Gamelon members. And of course, Andrew Robson, and before that, Paul.
So thank you so much, guys. That was absolutely brilliant, and a really amazing example of the sort of collaborations that can result out of these research seminars.